Hello everybody, live at Speaker's Corner today. So anyone who wants to talk to me, I will say to them, hold the mic. They'd have to put it on, obviously. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zarina Matcha and I'm here to tell you why feminism is trash. Feminism is an ideology that turns men and women apart. It's an ideology that creates division and disillusion between the sexes. And I believe that we as citizens of the human race should all stand up. We must not be supporting anything that wishes to turn men and women against each other. Feminism is a staunchly divisive ideology, and anyone with a brain should be anti-feminism. There is nothing positive or wholesome or unifying about the feminist movement.
Why would they join up? It's different.
Yeah, it's gone too far now, isn't it? It's going to be too far.
Well, the thing is it's that if you have a society that is only prioritizing the struggles of one sex over the other, then it's going to lead to problems between the sexes. You know, it's really sad because in an ideal world, we should be having, equality, equal rights. We should be having, men and women being treated with respect, men and women both being, both their issues being listened to and all that. But the feminism doesn't do that. And I think this is really sad because ideally, a lot of men's issues are not being listened to. I think that fellow actually, yeah, I think he's also anti-feminist. Yeah. It's funny, maybe I'll talk to him a bit later. Because a lot of people think feminism is all about equal rights for women, but it's not. Because if you actually look at the word feminism, it means femme, meaning women, and ism meaning doctrine. So it's actually like a doctrine of almost, you could say, like female supremacy. It pushes gynocentrism onto society. And ideally, we should have, equality between men and women. So we should be listening to men's issues. We should be listening to women's issues. But with the feminist movement is creating a culture where men's issues are not being heard or listened to. And this is wrong. A lot of men are being denied their rights all across the Western world. They cannot see their children. They're being left out of domestic violence shelters. Divorce is through the roof, and it is mainly men who are being affected. And there are a lot of people right now who are not really addressing these issues. And it's really quite sad because the people are the ones who are losing out from this. For societies to flourish, we need to be respecting women and men. We need to be promoting unity and compassion between the sexes, not the divisive rhetoric that feminism is perpetuating. Being an anti-feminist woman does not mean being anti-woman. It means being against an ideology that promotes female supremacy and gynocentrism. As women, we must be working alongside men, not wanting to berate them and shit all over them and accuse them of upholding toxic masculinity and male privilege and other nonsense. The Western feminist movement has been a lie. If you look at human history, much of the progress that has been attributed to feminism can be attributed to other things. For example, contraception was invented by men. It was an invention that was created by men as a result of natural, technological, and social progress and advancements in society. Many people think that it was only women who were denied the right to vote, but a lot of men could not vote either. In fact, before the First World War, a lot of men were left out from voting. It was not only women who could not vote, and the men who could vote were of the upper classes. And when they cast their votes, they usually took their wife's desires into consideration. Feminism has sold men and women a lie that women have always been oppressed. But the reality is, men and women have always both faced struggles. And what feminism does is that it creates a rift between the sexes by claiming that women are somehow more victims of systemic sexism and systemic injustice than men. And this is wrong. Both women and men equally face difficulties. We must hold women and men equally accountable. We must hold that women and men be treated with equal rights. We must not support a society and a legal system that prioritizes the favoritism of one sex over the other. Being an anti-feminist woman does not being anti-woman. It means being against an ideology that perpetuates division instead of unity. Feminism is a lie. Instead, we must embrace equality of opportunity. We must have humanitarian values, not feminist values, because when you have a feminist society, you are ignoring and negating the struggles of 50% of the human population. The way feminists treat men is very similar to the way that white Americans, or some of them, used to treat African Americans. It's the priority of one group over another and the negation of another group. Any feminist who claims to care about men's struggles is lying to you. The whole point of feminism is about the favoritism of one sex over the other by claiming that one sex has harder struggles than the other. And this is wrong. We need men's advocacy and we need women's advocacy, but not at the expense nor the contention of each other. We need to support and uplift women and also support and uplift men without having people tread on each other's toes. My name is Arena Matcha. If you would like to have a look at my work, I have these pamphlets available on sale. I also have bookmarks that contain my work. I'm available on YouTube at The Rational Female and on TikTok at Zarina Matcha. Please don't be shy. If you want to come later and take one, you can do. Feminism is highly problematic because it claims that women are systemically oppressed. And when you say that women are oppressed, you're A, claiming that women have always had much harder lives, which is not true. There have been many, many, many cases, well-documented cases of women thriving in society, being leaders, queens, working in STEM fields. If you go on Wikipedia and search women in aviation, there are tons from all over the world, women making waves in all sorts of industries. Saying that women have always been oppressed, that we've always been losers, is nothing more than a lie. Women have not been oppressed. And equally so, having a career is not necessarily everything. While I support women having careers, I myself am very career driven, we should also not be ignoring the importance of one very key role that women play in society, and that is the role of wife and mother. Mothers need to be respected. Feminists are far too dismissive towards motherhood, and this is terrible. We cannot have a thriving society if we ignore mothers and claim that being a wife and mother somehow means that you're being oppressed. What man would view his own mother or wife as a second-class citizen? Why are you kids laughing, eh? What's so funny? Can I get on a joke? Do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? You agree? I like your Marvel t-shirts. Who's your favorite Marvel superhero? Iron Man. Yeah. I'm more of a DC girl. I like Catwoman and the Joker. Feminism drives women and men apart. It creates a rift between the sexes. Therefore, we should not be supporting it. We should not support anything that deliberately antagonizes relationships between women and men and turns men and women against one another. Right now, men are being cheated out of their rights all across the West, thanks to a gynocentric society that doesn't care about men's issues. And I'm not also trying to say that we should only care about men. I'm saying we should be caring about men and women equally. We need equal rights, not feminism, and not also masculinism or some of the more extreme misogyny of certain spaces, particularly on the internet. There is nothing to gain by driving. Sorry.
Respect mums, number one. Respect mums, number one.
Well, feminists don't respect motherhood. The whole point of feminism was saying that being a mother is the oppression. It's terrible. We wouldn't exist without mothers.
Motherhood, like making babies is all natural.
Exactly. It's the most natural thing a woman can do. And you know as well, I don't like, if a woman doesn't want to have children, that's fine. But, you know, I'm not saying women have to have kids, but most women do want kids. It's a natural biological desire.
It's part of their system because they've got their biological.
Exactly. Most women, by the time they hit 30, want to have a child. If we don't support mothers, we will literally die. We're all going to start being created in reproduction centers, like in my novel Tic-Tac-Toe.
But why do you think they're so against like society?
Do you want to hold the mic?
Making babies and against motherhood? Why is that?
Wait, do you want to hold the mic? Okay. I think it's because the feminism. No, I've got one already. This is just for extra, in case I want to speak. Yeah, it's because the feminists, their whole point was that they wanted, it's about the breakdown of society, because feminism comes from Marxism, and much of the prominent feminists like Gloria Steinem, Betty Friedan, and so on, they were heavily involved in Marxist and communist politics. And Marxism is all about the breakdown of society. That's what it is. Breakdown of family, breakdown of, you know, private property. It's really about breaking down structures. That's why if you look at cultural Marxist theory, they have a lot of these things like deconstructionism. They want to just deconstruct everything. It's really about breakdown. Because if you think about it, like when you talk about family, that's nothing to do with being a left or right wing, as everyone has a family. We all come from our family, and it's our families, our ancestors, the people around us that are the ones who look out for us. Like for me, some of the most important people in my life are my family members. You know what I mean? And you know, some people have shitty families, which is very sad. But the point is that the whole point of valuing family means valuing where you come from. Because if you don't know where you come from, then you don't know where you're going, and you lose your sense of identity. And look at what we have now. Look at what's one of the worst things. Hello? Right. One of the worst things happening to humans right now in the West is this transgender ideology, which is literally saying that a man could be a woman could be a man. And I'm not talking about a few people who have a genuine issue. I'm talking about this now desire to say we should not have any genders, that we should eradicate gender. Because obviously there's, you know, legitimate people who suffer from gender dysphoria, it's a medical condition. But then there's a transgender ideology, which is a political ideology, which is all now trying to move into the system, the politics, and it's a big mess. You know? What are you gonna say?
So you think they're creating this like confusion for people to fight?
Yes.
You know?
It's
And
all
they know
about
it's all
making
bullshit,
people
but
fight.
They just want the people to become shocked and the people to take a side and be this clash so that we can look at the real problems, you know?
Yes,
They know it's all
absolutely.
bullshit.
Of
They
course,
know, you know?
absolutely.
Divide and
That's
conquer,
what
divide
it's
and conquer.
all about. It's all about division, divide and conquer. It's all about saying that we should turn people against each other. You know what I mean? Because that's the biggest problem. That's what it's all about. Sorry? So I think a lot of it is to do with the politicians and the academics. For example, academia, Jordan Peterson's talked about this a lot, how academia is pushing this narrative. Like if you look at academia now,
Who's paying them to do
well,
the money?
probably a lot of the big corporations, you know, if you look at the whole rainbow agenda, the wokeism.
Who owns the big corporations?
Well, I don't want to, you know, I'm going to be careful how I'm not going to comment too much on these.
What do they get out? What's the benefit in it for them?
Well, it's so that they can effectively maintain their privilege while the rest of us are just stuck on the ground being nobody. You know what I mean? It's also that the elites can gain power while the rest of us stay being losers. But you don't have to be a loser. You can literally walk away from this. You don't have to buy into this nonsense. You see, when I come here and I talk about this, a lot of people are like, oh, wow. And you know why? Because it's about waking people up.
But they can't have a debate either. That's incredible. They'll say one thing and and they can't have a dialogue.
Well, I know people
who
can't
are
have a
against
debate
it,
because
they'll get so emotional, and then they'll, like, after the second thing they say, they'll start insulting you.
Well, I know people can't have a debate because the other night I appeared on a very large, infamous woman's podcast named Just Pearly Things, and I tried to have a debate with her, and she couldn't debate me back. And you know why? Because she's just as bad as the feminists.
She goes to the personal attacks. That's what she does.
She. Sorry?
What's your point of disagreement?
Well, Paul and a lot of large YouTubers on the internet who claim to be anti-feminism or anti-woke are really just as bad as they are. Because, for example, the whole time I was on her show, she uses a lot of misogynistic vitriol, and it's the same thing that feminists do. Most people, like herself, or these other you could call red pillars. I know the term red pillar has really been badly misused. I know there's a good side, like, you know, there's the good side to it, like the whole positive masculinity movement. But the bad side, the toxic side, is really the flip side of feminism. And it's all controlled opposition. These people are being paid. They are being paid to say these things. Yes.
That's what the black and white Masonic floor means. You play both sides. You play the white and the dark.
Stefan, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Millennia, they played that. They played both sides.
You're absolutely right. You're gonna get me in trouble though when you start talking like that. Do you want to have a look, sir? I have Come, do you want to have a read? Yeah, this is a sample copy. It's just a look now, but they're on sale for £1.
All of it is bullshit. You're just telling a story to create chaos.
Feminism, Marxism, a lot of these ideologies come from the same source. You know, Bolshevism, Zionism, a lot of these ideologies were designed to create rifts, to turn people against each other so that a few ruling people can stay on top.
Huh? So yeah, that's all one thing. Money, power, and sex. Yeah.
We have got to realize that these ideologies are all about creating divisions and rifts in society, not about bringing people together. You know, if you look at the politics as well, left versus right, you know where that comes from? The French Revolution. It was the revolutionaries on one side and the reactionaries on the other side. Sir. The revolutionaries were on one side, reactionaries were on the other side. That's all it is. It's where you're choosing to sit. There is no left versus right. This is all a division. We don't really have a democracy.
People don't realize, like a fascist state was born its people, convinces people that we're still living in democracy.
We don't live in a democracy. We're not living in a democracy.
You know? The game's over. The pretending's over.
Yep.
Know?
Absolutely. We don't live in a democracy. It's all an illusion. Every, 4 or 5 years, you get to tick a box. It doesn't mean anything. The real democracy is when you take back your freedom and your power as individuals and you stop listening and being brainwashed by the mainstream media and the elites. The mainstream media lies. Yeah. The mainstream media lies and creates divisions. The mainstream media tells you that feminism means equality, but it does not. Equality means equality. Look at the words. Feminism, egalitarianism. One word means equal rights between men and women. The other one pushes female supremacy and gynocentrism, and it's rooted in Marxism. And as women, there is no benefit to us in negating men's issues, nor is there any benefit in believing that we are oppressed. Now, I consider myself a women's advocate. I have these pamphlets available here, which are available for sale. They're £1. And in these pamphlets, I effectively talk about why I support women, but I don't support feminism. There have been so many women throughout human history who have been leaders, who have worked in certain industries. And when feminists claim that women have always been oppressed, they are doing women a terrible disservice. This is an undervaluing of women and undermining of women's social contributions to the world. If you'd like to have a look, then come to the table. Or you can wait until after I finish speaking. I don't mind either way. We as women are not being oppressed. It's only feminists who say we're oppressed. The only people I can see who believe that women are being oppressed are the feminists. Nobody else thinks this. Feminists are the ones who believe that women are second-class citizens. What man would view his own mother as a second-class citizen? What man would view his own wife as a second-class citizen? This is absolutely appalling. Women are not oppressed. Women must start to empower ourselves and see ourselves as strong, capable individuals who can take responsibility for our lives. We are not victims of systemic sexism. We are not victims of any patriarchal oppression. And the only people that make us believe this are the feminists, because they want to take away our power as women and turn us against men. You can follow me on TikTok at Zarina Matcha or on YouTube at The Rational Female, where I talk about these very important problems. They're problems that people are not taking seriously. What's so funny, eh? Do you agree with me? Feminists are full of shit. I'm sorry? I can't understand you, sir. I can't understand your accent. I can't understand your accent. Maybe you should leave. Feminism is about turning women and men against each other. It's about perpetuating division between women and men. Thank you. Many of the things that have been attributed to feminism can be attributed to other things in society. The Equal Pay Act in the USA was passed by President John F. Kennedy as part of his new frontier about bringing social progress for women and men. It was thanks to him and a lady named Esther Peterson that women were able to have equal pay. In the UK, a group of women campaigned for equal rights and equal pay. But this does not have to mean that they were feminists. Feminism is an academic ideology that comes from Marxism that wishes to take all of the credit for women's achievements. Human social progress is what makes things go well. Feminism is a mean-spirited movement. It's a very, very antagonistic ideology that promotes gynocentrism and female supremacy instead of equal rights for women and men. Do you want to hold the mic, sir? Okay.
What do you think about
I'm looking. I value what you're doing.
No worries, thank you. Well, you know, that's what I aim to do. No worries. I've been coming here for a few months now. And Zarina Matcha. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what you're doing because it's going against a friend.
Yeah. Sorry. Was he saying? No, it's fine. Bit early to be drinking, isn't
What
it?
you're doing is, especially given your demographic, you're going against the trend big time, and that's really shaking people up.
Well, I think that a lot of people don't understand this, and my whole point is really just because feminism is turning women against each other. That's
Well,
it.
now the LGBT is against feminism, so now women are being discriminated against in sports.
Oh, yeah.
So I can call myself a woman and compete in a woman's sport, and I'll beat her.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And so it's all coming full circle, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So it's good to wake people up.
Well, I think that, the media doesn't realize this. It doesn't seem to realize. Oh, you've come back, have you? You've come back, have you?
Media's control. I'm sorry to be a conspiracy nut, but you have to look at who's paying the media. They're paid to push that narrative.
Yeah.
They're paid to push the drag queen narrative.
Yes.
They're paid to do that. So you're not going to expect any truth from the media.
No, it is. It's all being funded, and you're absolutely right. And the whole LGBT agenda, it's messed up as well because, I have many gay friends. I think most people are not against homosexuality. It's the political agenda that's behind it, and it's the whole thing. It's like it's gone from, say, gay people should have rights and be treated. Yes, it's the political agenda.
They're
Yeah,
being used as well as we are.
of course. They're being used, they're being exploited, and it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. Anyway, well done for waking people up.
No worries, brother.
Bye.
Nice talking to you.
Sorry, why do you think feminism is trash?
So first of all, feminism is based on the idea that women have been systemically oppressed by patriarchal society. And I think this is really ridiculous because if you look at human history, there's been so many women in so many industries, women working in STEM fields, women working as nurses, female leaders, queens, artists, writers, and the like. But also, you know, a very important role women do as well as being a mother. And the feminists don't really support this. They don't really appreciate, you know, what it takes to be a mother. They sort of say, oh, mothers were all just being oppressed. You know, it's like, oh, all the women had nothing. They were not doing anything. But they were raising their children, which is very important for society. And as well, the feminism is very, very, very antagonistic towards men. And that's a big problem. Most men, you know, I've been coming here for a few months now, and a lot of men are so thankful because they're fed up, you know, and I know men have had enough. They've had enough of being told that they're misogynist, that they're the toxic masculinity. I think men have really had enough, and they've really had enough of being told that they're made to feel like crap just for being a man, you know. And it's really just making 50% of the human population feel terrible. And it's like, you know, I look at my dad, my brother, and I think that, you know, I don't want them to have to live in a world that doesn't appreciate their contributions to society as men. And it's so sad. No worries. You can check out my work. This is a bookmark. So
Yeah, but you are a man who believes life without woman doesn't make sense.
exactly.
Yeah. How can you see feminism as trash? Feminism is not trash.
Sorry?
How do you believe feminism is trash?
No, because I just said feminism tells women they're oppressed and it turns women against
I
men.
told you, life without woman doesn't make sense. I mean,
Yeah, what I'm saying is that men and women should be together, but this wants to tell men and women apart. This is not pro-women. This is actually very anti-woman because they tell women they're oppressed and they're actually trying to turn women against men. Like a lot of the feminist academics, they want to say that women are being oppressed. They're really all about turning women against men. So it's actually very anti-woman.
But
Yeah.
not necessarily against. Want to embrace women, that they want to get paid less than men for the same job, or get to sit in the back of the bus, or get to go covered with whole body.
Yeah, so women are not actually paid less than men. You can have a look actually, I talk about this here. Women are actually they're not paid less than
Maybe in
men.
the
This is a
UK,
lie.
but in many other countries, they get paid less for the same job, same hours.
Well, I can't comment on other countries, but feminism is specifically a Western ideology, and feminism basically says that women are being paid less.
UK and USA.
Well, yeah, that's where feminism is really, that's a Western ideology, so I can't comment on other countries.
No, a lot of other Western countries pay women less.
No, but it's illegal to pay women less than men. No, it's actually illegal to pay, no, it's illegal,
A lot of working
no, it's illegal to pay women less than men.
they do that. They do that.
Well, the thing is, because first of all, women and men are different, and women are usually less competitive than men.
Why?
Because women and men are biologically different, so women tend to not necessarily want to seek out as higher paying jobs than men. Men are more likely to expect it to be the providers and the breadwinners. So I don't agree with obviously paying women less, but I could say that, women are, how shall I say? God, I lost my train of thought now. I was looking at the comments. Yeah, women, so men are more driven than women, and women, no, we are.
I don't agree.
No,
with
because
you.
men have more
Hang on,
testosterone in their bodies.
My sister, she died when she was just before she was 52 in 2005. Yeah, and she was far more driven than I am.
I'm saying generally speaking. So generally speaking, because men,
Also, generally speaking, I have three sisters, three brothers. I love my three sisters more than three brothers.
yeah, that's fine. What I'm saying, generally speaking, so men have more testosterone in their bodies, and men are also expected to be the providers.
Feeling or through ideology, you have to.
No, I'm saying biologically, and generally speaking, men have more testosterone.
Yeah, but women have other hormones.
Yes,
that
they
make
do.
them also competitive and ambitious.
Yeah, they do, but I'm saying we're different. What I'm trying to say is that the reason why women unless it's not because of sexism. It's because men are usually more driven, and men are also the ones who are expected to be the men. No, men are the ones who are expected to be the breadwinners.
Bring here facts that
No, it is true. I'm saying men are the ones who are more driven.
Drive me, I'll tell you to go away.
So men are the ones. So for example, in society, generally speaking, men have more pressure on them to earn more money, which is why in some cases men are paid less. Yes, because of the sense of whole thing of like men being the ones who are expected to be providers, being the breadwinners, and that puts pressure on men to earn more money. Men are more like driven by success and finances than women.
Against that phenomenon.
No, I'm not against it. I'm just explaining why it is the way it is, because feminists will just say it's because of sexism. And what the feminists do is they say everything is because it's sexist.
No,
But it's,
feminism is weird. I mean,
yeah, it is weird because feminists will say that everything is because of sexism. And what I'm saying is it's not because of sexism. It's because women and men are actually different. And there are reasons why we behave differently to each other. And there have been a lot of academics and scientists.
The reason I don't get it is I don't get the gay thing either. You know, I don't get. Why are you going? I don't get. I don't get the homophobia. I don't get that. I don't get what it's all about. Why would a gay? Why would a guy hate someone who is not heterosexual?
Well, actually, the Abrahamic religions say that homosexuality. No, it is because the Abrahamic religions say homosexuality is a sin, and the UK for a long time was a Christian society.
Yeah. I mean, according to them, drinking, according to Islam, drinking alcohol is a sin. Yeah.
But yeah,
well, my reaction to that is no comment. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Abrahamic religions.
What do you think about feminism or gender?
Sorry.
What do you think about feminism or gender?
The gender. No, I'm saying that feminism turns women and men against each other. It negates the importance of men's rights. It tells women they're being oppressed. No, but a lot of people do. Sorry?
You moved to Ibrahim.
Yeah, because this gentleman was just talking about homosexuality, so I was trying to explain that the UK has always been has for a long time, for the last 2,000 years, with a Christian country, and in extreme factions of Christianity, they're very anti-homosexuals. Yeah, it is now, but in the past, well, the last 2,000 years, the West was Christian, and that is
Europe is Christian.
yeah, and they say homosexuality is a sin. So, because you were talking earlier about the gay thing, and I was saying it's because they say homosexuality is a sin. And now we have gay rights, which is a good thing, but it's all gone too far. Because everything has gone from being about gay rights to now pushing this LGBT political agenda. It used to be about, okay, so men and two men want to get married, two women want to get married, that's fine. But now we basically have this, say, reduction of that. And now we want to say that, a man can become a woman can become a man. It's affecting children. Yeah, there are people who have gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate problem.
Accepting or not accepting, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
The point is, if they can win a race or win a chess game, then they've won.
Well, what the gentleman earlier was talking to me, he was saying now that, for example, if he is, I like a dress, man, that's pretty. He was saying now that if he as a man wants to compete in women's sports, he can just say he's a woman. Like now, men can just say they're women, and women can say they're men. And before it was that you needed to have like a diagnosis, you needed to have, it was a whole process. But now I can just say I'm a man. But I can stand there and say I identify as a man. And well, it is bullshit, but I'm allowed to say it. I can say I identify as a man, and nobody can contradict me, because if they do, then they're a transphobe.
Yeah, me. I'm talking about me, not me this, not me that. I don't care unless I've stood on their foot or something. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you get the idea. But I do accept that I think that the female is much demeaned. Why? Because religion says.
No, but we're not. It's not supposed to be like that.
No, but that's what happens, isn't it?
It's not supposed to be like that. Women are not demeaned. What I'm saying is that it's only feminists who say that women are demeaned. Women have always been respected for their contributions in society, and feminism says that we have not, because they say we've always been oppressed.
Religion. I'm not interested. I don't know why I'm quoting religion, because I think it's the most boring thing. Boring fashion.
Not to a lot of people in this park, apparently.
Yeah, but religion says
we support you no matter what, because you're not talking religion here, which is
I think everyone's fed up with people talking about religion.
Religion says that a woman is weaker than man.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not, actually. No, it does not. Most of the religions have something known as complementarianism, where they say that a man and a woman have different roles anointed by God. So they don't say that women are weaker than men. For example, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they have complementarianism. So they say that a woman... Well, I don't know about that. Well, I'm saying that it's wrong that religion demeans women. I think that extreme factions of them can, but it's more. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, the extreme factions can. But that's not really because of religion. That's because of people weaponizing it and using it as a political tool.
But they do it. But how does religion enable that? I mean, if religion is so equal and wonderful, how does it enable people to use it as a weapon, sexual weapon? You see what I'm saying? I mean,
it depends on which religion, because as well, there's a lot of religion. No, they don't. No, well, in Hinduism, for example.
Oh, you're kidding. Hinduism is just
that's why we're still having this problem with religion. Because the beginning is so horrible. We screw our head with religion. People, they teach you religion in school, you know?
Yeah.
Even here, they make Jesus the shepherds and Jesus and the, you know? They screw people from young age. Religion, why this religion still exists? Because of we don't do our job properly. We don't teach, we are lazy. We don't want to challenge this person who they screw others and they make life hell.
So we should be pushing, values without religion. Like non-religious people, we don't need religion. We can say, be a good person, treat people well, treat people with respect, have equality between men and women. We don't really need religion for that.
Maybe some people, they need a religion. We can make good one for everybody.
We can have one religion.
You die and you're going to go to heaven.
Well, not religion, a good philosophy.
Doesn't matter. You are good human being.
Is that a nightclub? Is heaven a nightclub?
Sanji the Power.
All of us will go to nightlife where you can have everything you like.
Yeah. Life is shit.
Do you want to hold the mic? Do you want to hold the mic so people can hear you?
Oh, God, I can't believe it.
Do you want to hold the mic? Yeah.
Down to never come back. Christianity and Islam and Zionism.
Need religion to have morals in society. Of course, that works in our country because we have like a history of like Christianity and how this kind of intersected into the wider culture. But when you analyze societies that have specifically tried to eradicate religion from their country, especially if you look at the last 100 years, most of the communist countries, the first thing they did was completely destroy and abolish religion from society, and it just created chaos. So the question I'm asking you is what would you be able to do to kind of avoid that if you're trying to completely eradicate religion from culture? Because often it has led to mass genocide of different human beings. And I know that's quite an intense point to make, but it has happened on many occasions.
Well, I wasn't actually saying.
What's your strategy?
So I wasn't saying that we should get rid of. I've got one. I wasn't saying we should get rid of religion. It's the fellow there was basically saying, "Oh yeah, we like you because you're not religious, and also because you're like let's say the good things in society that we need. We don't need religion for that." Now it's funny you mentioned communism because communism, and I say feminism, really is.
Of course,
feminism, communism, Marxism is really like a religion.
Yeah.
So in these communist societies, because Marx was very anti-religion, he called it the opium of the people.
Yeah.
And you could say that communism is really just another religion. Now, I don't think that we need a religion per se, and as well, I don't want to comment too much on other countries because I'm not from other countries. I'm from the West. I'm from the UK. Feminism is a Western ideology. I'm coming from a Western framework. I think that really we just need to promote values like common sense, treating people with respect, treating people with dignity.
Yeah.
And I don't really see why we need a religion for that.
So it's more
just,
about
these
values.
are basic, but basic common sense values. Because, atheists and non-religious people, like, so many of them don't agree. Like, if you look at the Lotus Eaters, for example, the gentleman there, Carl Benjamin, is an atheist, and he doesn't agree with, the woke, the extreme LGBT, the feminism, the extreme. He doesn't agree with it either, and he's atheist. So we can all be, against this just by simply saying, hang on a minute, we want to treat people with respect. We want men and women to be treated with equal rights. We want, be looking after children. We don't want our children to be, gender confused. I don't really see why we need religion for this. To me, this is just common sense. And if you look at, for example, the teachings of Jesus Christ, love thy neighbor, do good unto others, these are just universal humanitarian maxims. And I don't really see why we necessarily need a religion for that, if that makes sense.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I do share one question. Thank you.
No, good, thanks for asking.
Like my partner, my husband does, about women gossiping.
Yeah.
And I said to him, if you go back to caveman days, because it's actually like, being studied, that women kept societies and
Let me stand up like this, sorry.
Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Bin Laden. I met Bin Laden.
because they
I am one who witnessed
so,
the
one
meeting
case
of
and
Bin
you
Laden.
have
A man with a long beard.
Yeah,
and a
'cause
big
so-
robe, and they go there.
Women also, being very, because women have different communication skills to men, and being very communicative is a very big feminine thing. And you're right, we can use it in a very good way. We can also use it in a crappy way, like with gossiping. So yeah.
Concentrate.
Oh, would you like to? Sorry, man. Oh, work.
Thank you.
Nice. Feel free to have a read through.
Why?
If you'd like to have a look.
Politics. They use them.
Yeah, it's not to take it. It's just a free thing to look at.
I changed my mind, but still I will take it.
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
How could you trust these movie makers, Hollywood, where they used to tell us, my God, when I was young, I used to think, my God, America, how beautiful country is.
Keep liking the stream.
Hey, I say, what the fucking
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad.
I saw that video this morning. That one.
Oh,
She really
Get
fucked
lost.
you over.
America.
nah, I gave her a good fucking too.
It doesn't matter.
Can I take
It's okay. Of course, yeah. Yeah, of course. So basically, feminism tells women that they're being oppressed, and it tells women that we've always been second-class citizens here. And I think this is really sad because it basically negates all of the contributions that women have made throughout human history. For example, if you want to have a look at this, I basically describe what I do is I call myself a women's advocate. Because I think that we as women, there's a lot of non-feminist women who are really fed up of feminism kind of just dominating female spaces. And they're very bitter, they're very angry, they're very irrational. So I describe it there. Basically, feminism is a social and political ideology that tells women that they're being oppressed by a patriarchal society. And that the only ways that women should stop being oppressed is that we need to be, liberated or whatever. And their idea of being liberated, the way I see it, the logical end goal is really a world without men, because it's this whole thing of rendering men useless, of saying that men are not necessary, men are not leaders.
Agree with men who say women know your place.
Well, that's a bit extreme. I'm saying that we should have equal rights. We should have equality. It's literally not. No, it's not. No, it's so what you're talking about is
To be homemakers, some women choose to go to the workplace.
yeah. So what you're actually
Enter sexual liberation however they want. Feminism is about choice.
no, it's not actually. That's something known as choice feminism, and real feminists would actually disagree with you. And I know this because I've spoken to feminists. They could call themselves radical feminists, but I would just call them feminists. Feminism is not about giving women choice. That's a big misconception. And the only reason you think that is because in the last 10 years, there's been a lot of, 10 to 20 years, there's been a lot of propaganda in the media saying feminism just means women having choices. But this isn't really about feminism. This is just, you could say, classical liberalism. Because liberalism is an ideology that says equality under the law, equality under my God, the freedom to speak. This whole idea of freedom, choice, liberty, this comes from liberalism. But feminism, the feminist ideology, doesn't come from liberalism, it comes from Marxism, and people don't understand this. That's why feminists say women are being oppressed. So Marxism, well, I'm specifically talking about cultural Marxism, is effectively an ideology which has these different theories, and one of the key theories is about saying that people are being oppressed, and this whole idea of having a victim mentality. And that's when now you have a lot of this, woke ideology, which basically wants to say that everyone's a victim. So Marxism, actual classical Marx.
We live under the patriarchy. Women are dying every single day.
So what you're doing is that you're actually ignoring all of the ways in which men are just as systemically oppressed as women, which is what feminism. No, it's not. It does not.
It allows men to feel feeling. We live in a toxic masculinity.
So, ma'am.
You are a man, don't cry, you need to be a man. Feminism is not just for women, it's for men as well.
I've been coming to this park for months, and I promise you that 90% of the men in this park would disagree with you, that most men would say no, feminism is very anti-men. The amount of men who have congratulated me, who have thanked me, who have been so grateful, but I'm not...
men who would say, women know your place.
No, they don't say women know your place. No, they don't say women know your place. They're just normal, good-hearted men who don't buy into this idea of toxic masculinity, of patriarchy theory, who are sick and tired, actually, of having their rights taken away. Like, there's a gentleman over there who's also an anti-feminist, and, a lot of men, for example, you mentioned about, I don't know what you said about women's statistics, just as many men are being victims of domestic violence. Men are being, yes, domestic violence affects women and men equally. There's a lady named Erin Pidsey who's spoken about this, and she founded one of the largest domestic violence shelters, I believe, in the world. And what Erin Pidsey found is that domestic violence is a family issue, and it's something which tends to run in families. So men are just as much victims of domestic violence as women. But feminists ignore this because they want to frame domestic violence as a purely women issue. Yes, they do, ma'am. I'm sorry. You have been lied to and you have been brainwashed. Yes, you have. Feminism is a lie. It's not about choice. You should look up Julie Bindel. Julie Bindel is one of the most well-known English feminists, and I promise you, Julie Bindel is an actual feminist. Julie Bindel, Andrea Dworkin, these were the real feminists. But radical feminists, but choice feminism is not feminism. No, it's not. Choice feminism is not real feminism. It's not, ma'am. It has been debunked by many people. Most real feminists completely disagree. Because when you say feminism just means giving women choice, you're ignoring the academia behind it, you're ignoring the theory behind it, and you're basically reducing feminism down to, oh, women can just do stuff. I'm saying feminism is not women just doing stuff or women just having choices. That's a completely... If that was the case, everyone would be a feminist, but it's not. Feminism is a political ideology. It's a social and political ideology rooted in Marxist-based theory. Sorry? No, it's not about choice.
Some women are forced to do something like to marry other men. The right of the women, so they can just the community or the society.
So feminism prioritizes women's struggles over men's struggles, and what I'm saying is that overall, feminism does. It creates a gynocentric society where we favoritize women's struggles over the other. And what we're... Well, women also kill women. Lesbian couples have the highest rates of domestic violence.
More men are killing women than women are killing men.
Lesbian couples have the highest rates of domestic violence. That's something which feminists completely ignore and don't care about. We completely ignore women killing women. We ignore women killing men. Well, maybe not killing men, but women beating up men, women inflicting emotional and psychological abuse onto men. You see, what you're doing is that your entire framework is feminist-based because your entire worldview is rooted in the feminist view that women's lives are somehow harder. And what I'm saying is that, no, a lot of men would just... Okay, what about all of the men? Men work to provide for their families.
No, everyone's working now.
Men are the ones who work to provide for their families. Men are the ones who have been expected to take on certain roles. They're the ones who are expected to go out and die in war. Male disposability. Feminism does not care about men's issues, ma'am. I've spoken to this with a lot of men.
Your feminism might, my feminism does.
Why don't you ask any man in this park and they will all tell you no, feminism does not.
So because every man in this park tells me no.
Well, you're one of the few men.
I disagree.
Yeah, but you also disagree because feminism is very pervasive in the academia and in the media. Because feminism has such a large presence. Well, it's not that you're brainwashed, it's that you don't understand what feminism really is. You think feminism... I've just...
Western ideology. My feminist framework comes from my religion, which is the most feminist.
What's your religion?
Islam.
Islam is literally absolutely anti-feminist. Yes, it is.
Absolutely not.
The whole point of Islam is that women and men are both equal under God. Yeah, exactly. In Islam, they say that men and women should be equal. That's not feminism.
Islam is the most feminist religion. Islam gave women rights before the West did.
Giving women rights is not the same as being a feminist. I keep saying this to you. Feminism is about women having rights, women being able to do stuff. It's about claiming that women are oppressed and about prioritizing women. What about male oppression? Exactly, there you go. She doesn't care about male oppression like a typical feminist. You don't care about male oppression. Men are also being murdered. Men are also so you don't care. What about all the men that are being raped in prison, eh? You don't give a shit. Sorry? Sorry?
They work. They do have all the rights.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we should have equal rights. You just said that you don't care about men. You just said, I don't care about men.
Still, women are given the
What about men's rights too?
until the playing field is level.
Yeah.
I don't care until the playing field is level. The playing field is
Okay, so why do you actually talk to men who actually care about their rights or being taken away?
Do you care about your rights? Tell me, how do you care?
I feel that all people should have the same rights.
Which feminism does not support. You just said you don't care about men's issues. Right, why don't you have a look at this section, lady?
That's the field that we
Why don't you have a look at this stuff?
women's
See,
rights.
you don't give a shit. You want to look at it. You're typical feminist. You don't give a shit. Feminists are liars, narcissistic bullies who don't give a shit about men's issues. We have a culture now which is creating antagonism between women and men. This is absolutely appalling. So obvious. You see, you talk to a feminist and their true colors show out. Sorry, I'm kind of picking on you. Sorry.
My true
See,
colours.
that's also bullshit. Sorry.
I'm a feminist.
I don't think men can be feminists.
Men can't be
Because feminism is an ideology that prioritizes female supremacy and genocentrism. But radical feminism is no, it's not. Okay, Islam is literally incompatible with feminism because feminism is a Western ideology.
not. Feminism is not a Western
It
ideology.
literally began in the West. It's got nothing to do with other cultures. It's a Western ideology. Religion, yeah, matriarchal societies is not the same as. No, it's not. You see, because you keep saying feminism is just women having rights or women having equality, I'm telling you it's not. It's a Marxist-based ideology which tells women they are oppressed. It's a Marxist-based ideology which negates male struggles. How much feminism have you read? How many feminist theories do you know? How much feminism have you read? What are you asking my question? How much feminism have you read? Sorry, ma'am. How many feminist books have you read? How many feminists do you know? Like who? Like who? Go on. What? Roxane Gay. She's not a real feminist. She's a confused liberal. She might not be a liberal. What feminist books have you read? Name me one feminist book you've read. Have you read The Feminine Mystique? Feminine Mystique, one of the biggest, most important works of second-wave feminism is The Feminine Mystique. Literally the entire book she's saying, she calls marriage a comfortable concentration camp. She completely negates male issues. Louise Perry does the same thing. Sorry. Good example. So the second sex, Simone de Beauvoir. I haven't read the second sex, but I'm familiar with it, generally speaking. In the second sex, Simone de Beauvoir effectively says that women are the other and basically creates this ideology that women are somehow inferior to men and that we're being othered by men. Do you not see how ridiculous this is? What man would view his mother or wife or daughter or sister as a second-class citizen? You know how damn lucky you guys are to be women in a society where men are expected to care about your rights, where men are expected to look after you. You are absolutely spoiled and brainwashed. Sorry. Have a nice day. I'm just getting carried away in it. But you know, feminism is an extremely spoiled ideology which doesn't care about yeah, feminism. One day you will know what I'm saying. Sorry, did you want to ask an actual question? Sorry, did you want to ask something? I'm getting carried away now. Yeah, it's a good crowd. Ugh. Feminism is about lying to women and lying to men and creating division in society by failing to address the ways in which men have endured struggles, feminists use lying and manipulation and gaslighting techniques to distort the ways in which women and men have worked together to prioritize women's suffering over male suffering, rather than viewing male and female suffering as equally important. The West is currently rampantly filled with gynocentrism. Feminism is a gynocentric ideology. We should not be supporting this. Real equality means by... Oh, yeah, do you want to take a small look? No worries. See, every man, it's so funny, like all the men, 90% of the men, I've been coming here for 3 months, 90% of the men that speak to me agree with me. A lot of women agree with me too, but it's like, most men agree with me. Most men agree with me.
Tell them again.
That's right. You see, I hear all these men say, yeah, you're right. Men have had enough of being cheated out of their rights. You're right. Yes, so I'm an anti-feminist because I think that feminism is basically turning women and men apart. Feminism turns women and men apart. It drives a wedge between the sexes. I think this is really bad. Yeah, it's really bad because effectively feminism prioritizes the struggles of women over men. And I think that for societies to flourish, we need to look at women and men with equal rights. And a lot of women are actually fed up with feminism because, you know, they feel like the feminists are very angry. They feel like feminists don't listen to them. And there's a lot of non-feminist women who are just tired. They feel like they're always being shouted at. You know, the feminists are very hostile. They always say that women are being oppressed. And they basically want to just... I think they make women look very bad. They make women look like we can't take responsibility. They make women look very irrational. And it's really quite sad, you know, for women. So, yeah.
So, which branch of feminism are you criticizing?
I just say feminism generally. I think it's just a stupid idea.
Right.
I don't think we should have feminism. I think we should have women's advocacy. That's what I say. Like, oh, I'm a women's advocate. So I support rights for women. I support women empowerment, but I don't support feminism. I already see feminism as this very hostile, very misandric ideology, and people don't realize that feminism is a political ideology as well. It's not really like it comes from, it's politically driven, you know, because it gets a lot of its ideas from Marxism, and a lot of the feminists in the late second half of the 20th century, they were very much involved in like communist politics, especially in the US. They were very involved in communist politics, you know, especially in the West. I mean, no, I'm a bit familiar with Simone de Beauvoir, but I think that really we shouldn't have feminism. We should have like equal rights. So we should have women and men empowering each other, but as equals, not saying that women are more oppressed or that women are like inferior to men, which I think feminism really perpetuates. So yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, what's your response to feminism deals with different kinds of statistics?
So what I usually say is that feminists will usually bring up statistics where they'll say, oh, look at all these cases of women suffering. And I'll say, look at all these cases of men also suffering. That's why I'm saying we need equal rights, because feminism prioritizes favoritism of women over men. And what I'm saying is that we shouldn't be favoritizing women over men. We should actually be saying, no, we should be caring about women and men equally. And we should have male advocacy and women's advocacy. But what feminism does is it creates a society where only women's issues are ever really cared about, talked about, listened to. And this basically negates all of men's issues, such as homelessness, men losing out in child custody rights, and so on. A lot of men are really fed up of this. I think that a lot of men are really tired. They're tired of being made to feel like they have rights, you know, and it's just really quite sad, really.
Would you say it's better to have male?
Would you like to take my work?
No.
Right, nice.
Would you say it's better to have male and female advocacy, as you
yes.
said, or would you say it's perhaps better to pick what is unjust and unfair by characteristics and go after it by characteristics? Because there's very few things where the gender is really important.
I think we can do both, but I do think as well, because men and women are different, like that's why we need men's spaces and women's spaces.
Oh, that's absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. which a lot of
I just
people
meant
are
in
like
terms of,
campaigning
like,
against now.
there's a lot of things that are saying like women are, for example, financially less well off, so we need to balance along that, advocacy that way, and then men are worse off in jail, so we need advocacy that way. And that seems to end up quite divisive, whereas if you say like people who don't earn as much, we need to address that issue.
I think we can do both actually, because I think like we can have male and female advocacy, but equally look at certain areas. Because also you mentioned like women, so a lot of people think women are paid less. That's not actually true. Women earn less because they typically work in lower paying jobs. They typically work shorter hours.
I didn't put any reason behind it.
Sure. Yeah.
For various reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive either. It's just more of a matter of focus.
Yeah.
I would be curious if you really mean that, or you mean sort of.
No, I generally think feminism is trash because, for example, that fellow over there.
What if I clarify my question? I mean, first wave, second wave, or third wave, or doesn't matter?
I say all of it overall. Really? I think it's gotten worse over time, but the gentleman there, so he is representing Studio B, and there's a professor named Janice Fiamenko who's talked a lot about the history of first wave feminism as well, and how even back then the feminists were still, very anti-family, anti-men.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems, and this all follows on obviously from where, originally you had, how are we going to make a cracking new workforce to feed factories? Because no one would leave their families to go work in factories. I know what we'll do. We'll make education compulsory and all that sort of stuff, and then that's where you start getting this big gap kind of thing, and that's when all that stuff, and it all sort of went from there, because then later on you have women have to come out of their houses, the workforce, doesn't matter because we've got kids now, and so on and so on and so forth. So it's been a slippery slope, for sure, I agree with that. But then the things that were going on in first wave feminism, I feel, are a lot more reasonable and justifiable, even if that's not. I mean, they sit in the heart much better than the later stuff.
Well, you should definitely look at the gentleman there. I actually really disagree. One of the main reasons I disagree, because first wave feminism was also really prioritizing upper middle class women. It was only prioritizing, women who are the most privileged in society. So those women were already very privileged, and they were actually trying to maintain their privilege. So I really think first wave feminism was actually really just a bunch of nonsense. I think the reason why people think that is because they don't realize that feminism was all about serving the most privileged women in society. And because the feminists later in the 60s, they rewrote a lot of the history to make it look like they were all these great. Like, the suffragettes, for example, the suffragettes was full of shit. They were terrorists. They didn't care about the working class. Yeah, they didn't care about, people think the suffragettes were so great, and they weren't, and people forget the fact that a lot of men could not vote. Like, voting rights was not just a women's issue. It was, a lot of men were excluded from voting rights as well. Yeah.
And also you're voting, that's what I mean, nothing now.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting, yes, good point. I may actually, I'm interested to defend first wave. You are right.
Definitely go talk to the gentleman over there. He's great, because Janice Fiamenko, I think she's probably one of the only actually academics I know who's really, really dug into the history of feminism. Please check out Janice Fiamenko. She's the only one who's really, really spoken about the problems of feminism all the way through.
I think it's quite interesting that the multiple dialectic layers that have covered things up have been lifted upon.
Yeah, definitely. There's a shift in the consciousness for sure. No worries. Yeah. We'll talk later, yeah, because I'm live streaming. Yeah.
No, I mean, all power to you for what happened the other day.
A lot of people were pretty pissed, were pretty angry. I got a lot of people saying, nah, she was out of order. I was just challenging her.
Even one of the panelists said, she said something, didn't she? I mean, you should sit your hand.
She's full of shit. She's full of shit. I'm not really bothering with somebody like her. I mean, no, I kind of knew.
A sentence, and people correctly observed that she actually got in on what you were saying,
Well, I don't want to say this because I knew I was going to be going on a show again. I've already done a video talking about how someone give a shit. No, I don't respect her. I think she's really a grifter. I don't think she really gives a shit about. She can't come out and do this. She can't come out and talk about the real problems.
We need another series of voices that are actually great.
Yeah.
Offense to Pearl here, but it would be good to have proper, genuine London voices talking about this stuff.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, kind of get this going, because I think a lot of these kind of people, they're grifters, they just want to take the piss, And the whole thing, I was really shocked, like in the room, like just they're almost like, because you know the feminists, they basically put down men, right? But she's doing the same thing with women. She's basically just trying to put down women. And if I'm trying to say, because me trying to say something good about women, suddenly that makes me sound like a feminist, because what she says is deliberately designed to make women look bad.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
You've got a principled approach, and I appreciate it.
Well, I just think, you know,
A couple of girls on the sofa there were just plain kind of immature. You know, the
I felt really
OnlyFans
sorry for them, to be honest. I felt sorry for them.
They're clearly not going to help themselves yet. I mean,
No.
maybe into the future they'll realise that perhaps it's not. And obviously, I think a lot of their funds are going to dry up on OnlyFans over time anyway. Right?
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it.
How long are you going to be here? Let's talk about this properly later, yeah? Maybe like, because I'm not going to do this for much longer. I'm actually I'm very tired today, so I'll just be like maybe another 30 to 40 minutes max. But we should catch up properly. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Yeah, Polly things, man. Can she come out and do this? Nope. So much of a coward. You know, a lot of people don't want to address the real problems in society because they're afraid and they are capitalizing on the willful ignorance of the masses in order to brainwash people and delude people and push divisive agendas and divisive rhetoric onto people. This is absolutely messed up. A lot of people don't want to see what's really going on. They don't want to address the real problems in society. You see more of the pop now. Feminism is a highly divisive ideology that effectively pushes female supremacy and gynocentrism onto members of the public. We should not have feminism. We should have real equality and real equal rights between women and men. We should have unity between women and men and not be buying into an ideology that turns women and men against each other, that negates the importance of families, that ignores all the ways that men have been struggling and just wants to preach gynocentrism onto society. Is that for YouTube or are you just taking a picture? Oh yeah.
Okay, a lady. John Holder. What is it called?
What's your name?
Something like that.
Thank you. Two.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Oops.
Hello.
There.
Alright.
Maybe this side.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Sure.
Can you tell us what is that? What is that? Feminism. What is it?
So feminism is a social and political ideology that tells women that they are being oppressed by patriarchal society and that women must be liberated through the destruction of gender roles.
Okay, so does that mean like I can't even get the words? So is it that organization that supports the women that they have been abused by man?
So I say that feminism doesn't support women. It actually turns women against men, which is very bad for women.
Ow.
Because feminism tells women that they're oppressed by the male patriarchy, which effectively turns women against men, because it turns relationships between women and men into a combative thing rather than a unitarian thing. And well, unitarian, whatever. But yeah, feminism effectively drives women and men apart. And a lot of the feminists, for example, they'll talk about things like female domestic violence and female issues, which I agree with, but they're doing this at the expense of men. Like, for example, in the UK and USSA, there's something known as the Duluth model, which has created a domestic violence system that only favorites women's domestic violence over male domestic violence. So a lot of men who are victims of domestic violence are not being listened to, they're not getting their rights, they're not getting what they need, really. And this is really bad because when we have a culture that only prioritizes one group over the other, we effectively ignore the other group. So what I actually say is that we should support women, but not at the expense of men. And feminism is largely at the expense of male suffering because it claims that women are being oppressed, meaning that they claim that men are the ones who have all the power, which ignores all the ways that men struggle in society.
So is it that why the problem we have now with the marriage or society in general?
So feminism has contributed largely to breakdown of marriages through, again, creating this antagonism between women and men. It's contributed to a culture where divorce is now rising because, again, when you have a society where women and men are taught from birth that they should be combative, where women view men as oppressors and men view themselves as somehow oppressing women, that means that it's creating this antagonism between men and women rather than unity. And a lot of men are really, really treated very badly in divorce courts. They're cheated out of divorce. For example, women are the ones who initiate more divorce than men. And it's a lot of the men, this is a very important topic. Men are cheated out of the divorce courts. So, for example, men are often expected to pay really large maintenance or alimony, and women can effectively take half of men's assets. Women can also take away men's children. So there's a lot of things like father's custody rights, which are trying to campaign for men to have the right to see their children. So a lot of men are being cheated out of their rights to see their kids. And this is largely driven by this prioritizing of women over men. We ignore men's issues, and we should be looking at men and women as equals.
Wow, I like that. Thank you very much. Thank you for the answer. So,
Always.
but I didn't know what is it called? I didn't know what was the feminism with the start.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of like what's going on.
That's fine.
I've seen it the last week or the week before. You're like holding people like, what is that? What is she doing here?
Yeah.
But you are absolutely right.
Yeah, and
There's
the
a
thing is,
reason
I'm
why
not
we are here.
anti-women. I support women. I just think this is actually bad for women because this basically makes women unhappy. It turns women against men, and it makes women believe they're being oppressed. I think women can do anything. You know, there's always the women who have been leaders, who have been warriors, who have worked in STEM fields. I think that we should be supporting women, but not at the expense of men. And that's really what, we've been trying to say this whole time.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you very much. So,
No worries. Yes.
And what is it about?
Yeah, so basically I'm a woman and I'm against feminism because feminism is really, I think, really bad for society because it drives a wedge between men and women. Because with feminism, you're basically saying that women have always been oppressed and it's creating a rift between the sexes. Because when we say women have been oppressed, we prioritize women's struggles over men's struggles, and we shouldn't be prioritizing women over men. We should be saying men and women should have equal treatment. And, a lot of men are not having equal rights because a lot of women have kind of abused the system now. And I think this isn't women's fault. I just think it's feminism has set up a system where women can kind of abuse the system and take advantage of men and not really care about having real equality. I think this is actually quite bad.
So we need in gender roles.
Well, when I say gender roles, I don't mean that a woman has to be a housewife. I mean that in a relationship, a woman and man has a different role. So a man is usually the protector, a woman usually being the nurturer, especially when it comes to having children. I don't think this is really about being oppressed. I think this is just a natural biological thing. It's an evolutionary thing in which men and women have evolved that way.
So if you were to like risk for man, right?
Yeah.
They want you to work, but stay at home, cook and clean.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a writer, so I work from home anyway. But no, I have nothing. So, for example, if I was married and I had children, I'd be fine with being a stay-at-home mother because it's like that's I think that's normal. But I also, as well, I don't think it's wrong for women to have careers. I actually think feminism is also kind of stupid as well because it says women have always been oppressed. Yet there's so many women who've had careers, who've been able to work, who've been very driven. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to say women have always been oppressed when you've always had women having careers as well. I think women can have careers. It's just that women who have careers as well, they usually have to prioritize. They usually have to make certain sacrifices because to be very, being very career driven is a fundamentally masculine trait. And when I say that's a masculine trait, I don't mean that women can't have careers. I simply mean that women are usually not as career oriented as men.
Yeah. So like, you did your career as a writer. The man said so, or would you say?
Well, I wouldn't because also, first of all, I myself am very career driven, and again, I don't think being anti-feminist doesn't mean being anti-career. However, I would say, as again, if I was having kids, then I would say prioritize the children over my career because that's what you should be doing as a mother. That's, especially the kids are young. But that doesn't mean that I would stop writing. Obviously, I don't think any man that I would be in a relationship with would tell me stop writing or stop, doing your passion. It's more that in a relationship, that's how it kind of should be, really.
How would you explain the gender wage gap?
So women are not actually paid less money than men. What it is that women usually earn less. I actually have written about this here. But yeah, women earn less money because yeah, you can look at this actually. Yeah, it explains that there. Yeah, women are usually less driven than men, and men usually are the ones who are expected to be the providers and be the breadwinners in society. So that's usually why women are more whatever than men. It's not because women are somehow being paid less money than men.
Well, one thing I've noticed now, like usually in academia, well, there's lots of prejudice against women. So they tend to be overlooked in academia because they're women. So even if they might write very good quality work, is there women and certain stereotypes?
I mean, I don't know if that's really true anymore. I don't think that actually that's true because there's so many female academics. I actually think that that's a narrative which a lot of gender perspective studies will.
Hamburger.
Hamburger.
Are you anti-vegan? I think hamburger.
No, hamburger. I'd say she's like one of the
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're a feminist?
Yeah. To a certain point.
I think more feminists
to be a feminist now.
I think you can agree equal rights is a civil thing.
Well, equal rights is not the same as feminism. When I say equal rights, okay, when I say equal rights, I don't mean it's the same. I mean it's an equal opportunities and equal respect. That's when I say equality. Like for me, when I say equality, it's very important to know this. I don't. Yeah, I mean that.
Feminists.
No, they were terrible.
They're cancelled now by the new feminists.
No, but I'm saying they were all bad. Like Jermaine Greer was full of shit. They're all the same.
But compared to the ones now, she seems pretty moderate.
It's gotten worse, but they were still. I don't think she does really. I don't know.
Just hate men.
But they were always anti-men. Like that fellow over there has a whole stall where he talks about this.
Oh yes.
And yeah. I might actually go talk to him in a second.
When it comes to do you think a match game first date?
Sorry?
Should a man be on a date?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that's just, you like to feel as a woman that's feel taken care of. It's not really to do with money, it's more to do with.
I heard Naomi Wolf, the feminist, talk about that, and she said, yeah, first it's nice for a man to buy, but at some point it's nice for the woman to just so that she will pay once in a while.
But she's also full of shit because she wrote The Beauty Myth. She just saying beauty is a social construct. So it's just all, they're all idiots. I don't listen to any of them.
I'm sorry for her because her whole world has collapsed. And now she's like,
it's karma, isn't it? Oh, it's karma.
So it's pretty. Conservative Tories are super well into. They don't really exist anymore.
I think conservative, left wing, that's all kind of the same thing, really.
No,
it's controlled opposition.
Humans are instinctively conservative, right? They want to.
I don't even know.
They want to keep what they like.
Yeah.
And get rid of what they don't like.
Yeah, what's about But would you say men and women are more privileged in society?
I think men have certain privileges. I think women have certain privileges.
Yes. Would it be easier to be a man or woman?
Sorry?
Would it be easier to be a man or woman?
I don't, because I could very easily say, well, as a woman, I have certain privileges, but actually, again, I think men and women both have certain privileges. I think men and women both have certain struggles. I think it's the same. I don't think it's the same in certain areas. I think it's different in different areas. But I think if you look at it, it's the same. That's why for me, feminism makes no sense because feminists. But earlier I was fucking talking a feminist girl. She's saying, "Oh well, women have these struggles." And I keep saying to her, "Yeah, but men have just as many struggles as women." And they just don't listen and they don't care. It's really tiring.
In marriage, right? Is a woman allowed to deny sex from her husband?
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually think that if you're married, part of being I actually think that in a marriage, because women have lower sex drives than men, and that sexual desire tends to wane over time. As a woman, you actually do have a duty to have sex with your husband. I don't mean that you should if you're really, really, I mean, as a woman, you should try and maintain that because you need to understand as a woman, you have a lower sex drive than a man. And men, if you don't want men to go and cheat, I'm not saying, obviously men cheating is not good, but as a woman, if you don't want your man to cheat and start looking, you have to, maintain that as part of your duty as a wife. I do think that's the case. I think that's just a fact that as a woman, if you're married, you've made a commitment, and you need to understand that a man has a higher sex drive than you. So you need to, so yeah, I do think that women, again, I don't women should be all the time, but I just think that as a woman, you need to be conscious of that. And these are the kind of things that women don't understand. They think, oh, well, I don't care, because they're not understanding the differences in a man and a woman. There's a lot of men who will get fed up, and I'm sorry, but that's partly why some men cheat. Again, I'm not saying that we should excuse cheating, but I'm saying that partly why some men cheat is because a lot of women don't want to, in a marriage, they want to, fulfill their duties as a wife. And I think that is one of the duties that you should fulfill. I think duty is part of a relationship. It's part of love. That's why a relationship is a hard thing. It's teamwork.
Isn't that between the man and the woman? Their relationship is their business.
Yes, of course. But I'm saying, he's asking a general question. So.
There have been some cases where the woman said, rape.
That's different, of course. That's different.
And they got no recourse.
That's different. I obviously think, rape is terrible. I mean, no one's really denying it. Oh, what you mean is when a woman lies about being... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she had a headache. She wasn't in the mood. And then she said, calls it rape.
But again, see, these are the kind of problems that are not being addressed.
That's personal, though, isn't it?
But women can do that. Women can do that.
The court shouldn't be involved. If she says, my husband raped, I had a headache and my husband had sex with me, the court is not.
I agree with you. I think rape should be if you're actually raped.
Yeah, like a stranger.
With marital rape, because marital rape can happen, but I think marital rape happens in abusive marriages.
Yeah.
Most marriages are not abusive, but there are obviously, women, there are women in abusive marriages, but I agree with you that it's not as common as the feminists will make it seem. Like, they'll try and say, oh, men were always raping their wife. That's actually, no, I had a headache. So, yeah. But see, you're right.
Very much in favor of women.
Yes, they are. Yes, and women need to take responsibility. That's what I'm saying, is they need to understand. Less, they do. They need to be less feminist. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That's the biggest problem.
It's a huge problem, and you're absolutely right.
They're interpreting the law incorrectly these days.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Very left-wing.
Well, left or right, I mean, I think it's all the same, really.
Yeah, there's no such thing as right-wing, really.
Well, the right and the left is the same thing.
There's no, it's like
it's the same thing. Controlled opposition.
It just means you're not crazy.
No, but the thing is, I don't consider my no, but I don't. Would you like to get one?
Right.
Oh, actually,
okay, £1. Okay.
You've got an axe to grind. You hate.
Yeah, if you want to get one,
you just hate humanity.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
You're left wing. You hate humanity.
No, but you could say there's a lot, because a lot of right-wingers as well, especially economic right-wingers, they don't care about the working class.
Far right? Can you name one far right?
I'm not talking about far right. I'm saying that the left and the right are both as bad as each other. It's controlled opposition.
Anyway, so.
Well, natural socialism was left-wing, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, National Socialism was left-wing, but yeah.
But no one ever likes to say it. No, they weren't really left-wing. They were sort of like right-wing somehow.
It's because of the Overton window. It's because the Overton window is now pushing a lot of far-left propaganda, especially into the academia. But what I'm saying is that left and right is the same. It's the same thing.
Like left-wing. They had left-wing like lecturers in Oxford in the 1870s.
I don't know. He's left-wing. Yeah, exactly.
They wanted to abolish the royal family. Okay. They wanted the state to run everything.
I don't support the royal family. I know. I'm getting tired of my clothes.
I was talking to the fellow over there.
Yeah, I actually want to talk to him in a bit. I'm going to actually ask him. No, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. Yeah. About an hour and a half. Oh, you know how long I've been coming here? Yeah, about an hour and a half, yeah. Since end of April, I think. About 3 months. 2.5 months.
Oh, I thought like it coming from a child right.
Strong independent woman, isn't it?
Like conservative.
So, hey, so your name is?
Roderick.
Roderick, nice to meet you, Rod.
Yep.
Yes, so I remember Janice actually told me about the work you do here at Speaker's Corner, and it's wonderful. So this gentleman here is, or like me, also an anti-feminist. So, Rod, why don't you tell me a little bit about how long you've been coming to Speaker's Corner?
About 8 or 9 years. I come now every fortnight. We used to have a lot more people before COVID. I have another colleague who speaks.
Sorry, it's my phone. Yeah.
Is that right? Yep. I have a colleague who speaks. And it's been good. When we first came here, we got a lot of abuse. But what happens is that the landscape's changed around us. We've had so many things happen in society, COVID, Trump getting in, Brexit, on and on and on. And then we had the times with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and all sorts of things going on here in London with violence and stuff. And so people do seem to be looking up from their televisions and looking at things. And I think the good thing about COVID was people then went online because they were off work, and they started looking up things on stuff. And I'd say Janice's research is just amazing. She's one of my favorites. That's why I have this here so people can take a photo of it. And it's good. And I'm glad I do. It's one of the best things I've done. And I just wish we had more people here again of our kind. And I've seen you come. I saw you when you came, and I didn't get the chance to speak because you're always chatting with someone. But no, it's good. I've seen you on YouTube.
Thank you. So, what compels you the most to come out here and do this?
I come from generations of dysfunctional family. My mother ran off when I was young. Her mother had run off when she was young. My father was dysfunctional. His mother was crazy. And we ended up in care in a children's home for a little while. And then we ended up in care, and it was even worse. My older sister, I relied upon, but she was a bit of a mean girl. And a lot of the damage done in the family was done by the decisions women made. And my father was damaged because of his mother. And that's no excuse, though. And the damage done by, and this is Erin Pizzy's work, which is really important. I met her in 2012. We didn't get along that well over other things, but her foundational work on domestic violence back in the 1970s is really important. You might be able to interview her one day. You tried, Erin Pizzy. And she's been written out a history of domestic violence. And of course, as you would know, they get nearly £300 million a year, and half of it goes on wages for academic and political feminists in high positions. While the gender studies students probably do a lot of the work in looking after the millions of pounds worth of properties that they have. And you do need shelters for people, but this has become a cash cow, basically, for feminism. And you'll never really see an academic feminist here. They wouldn't bother. The only time we see them is with the red feminists when they come, and they go over there now. And they were pushing us about and all sorts of things when they were here and behaving badly with Posey Parker, the anti-TERF, the TERFs, not anti-TERFs, they were the TERFs anti-trans people. And that's typical of old feminists. They think they can push people around and swear at everyone, and they do. And then they claim that they're victims. And if a bloke behaved like that, you'd get a slap. And it just says an awful lot about what they get away with and what they expect. It's the hypocrisy of it. We live in a society where playing the victim, faith victims, can make a lot of money. And a lot of them are dependents because they get in a position where they could actually be doing something to help people. But all they have is their handout, and they're recreating more and more issues to fund them, to help them, instead of actually becoming a leader and doing something for real. And they won't look at like what Erin Pizzy said, domestic violence is not a gender problem, it's a generational problem of violent families, which is so true. And her quote, 62 out of the 100 battered women that she had in one of the shelters in the early days were as violent as men. So what does that say? And the ruined lives of children who grow up in dysfunctional families. Neglect is one of the big things. My sister who's younger than me is a drug addict. I've got dysfunction right throughout my family. And it's just gone on for generations, and it just makes me really angry. And when you meet these posh people who virtue signal from their dinner table about, and all this sort of crap, it just annoys you. But then again, I was talking to someone before, and they were talking about a lot of these criminal gangs who people trafficking, drug trafficking, and all the rest of it. And there does seem to be a lot of guys that are doing that, men doing that. But it's looking at the families that people come from. And a lot of people in our culture, women have actually been quite strong. And when you look at the history, how they've changed history by saying women couldn't own property. But of course, as you know, if she spent all the money and went on a burner, the husband ended up in the debtor's prison. And in those days, the family had to bring food to the person in the debtor's prison. And if they didn't, you starved in the early days. So it was absolutely horrific. And if your children were born in wedlock, they went to an orphanage and were probably working as children somewhere, or they went into a workhouse. And people don't realise that. And then I remind them a lot of these boarding houses were owned and run by women. Publicans, women were publicans. Even in the Doomsday Book, you had amongst the peasants, the women were selling ale and selling stuff from stalls. So they were businesswomen in those days. To say that women were tied to a kitchen sink, and look at it in its day, when a working class man could afford to pay for his wife not to have to be in a factory, then she was better off in those days. She can then look after the kids and get him to work, get the kids to school, and then she's got all the manual work without washing machines, dryers, hoovers, or anything to do in the house, which was a lot of work. And these people who believe they're victims of the patriarchy have no idea.
Thank you so much for that, Rod. So I forgot to say this fellow is a very good anti-feminist speaker, and what he said is so important, and it's really important for people to see that, you know, like me, he comes to Speaker's Corner, coming for a much longer time than I have, and I think it's amazing. I think we should definitely talk more about, you know, potentially linking up, potentially doing streams together. If you know Erin Pitsy's contact details, I'd love to maybe interview
She's
her
on Facebook.
video.
She's retired. She's an old lady now, but she's retired. But she might be able to. She might be happy to communicate with you. Hey?
Email might be more responsive.
Well, no, she's commented in Facebook. It depends if she's going to comment back.
Okay.
I didn't. I saw her in 2012, a long time ago.
This is why this is important, because, as you say, it's really feminism's main thing was that it's really about breaking up the family and dividing men and women against each other. And you know, you're completely right as well. I've been saying for ages, there's been so many women who were able to work, were able to, you know, own property or do things, and
they were bourgeois, and not only that, they had very exotic sex lives. Some of them were same-sex pedophiles, and these were not working class women. And of course, the suffragettes didn't want working class women. They didn't want their maids or cooks to vote. So you know, and everyone and we went to when they released the movie The Suffragette. We went there, and there were all these students protesting with purple and light and green bombs, which are the colours. Which is one of the reasons I use purple and just to annoy them. And they were rushing the theatre and all that, and we had World War uniform things on going along, and we were ignored, and they just made a huge rampage, and we did that. We would have got arrested, obviously, but it's all nonsense. It's attention-seeking victim, and they're also disabling women by telling a young woman she's a victim and she's never going to go anywhere in life. You're disabling her.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, that's why, you know, why I say I'm a women's advocate, because I think that, you know, non-feminist women should be first of all supporting men's issues, but also to be taking responsibility and not being anti-women, because you are disabling women when you tell women that they're victims. And that's why if you make women think that they're victims, they're going to then become very antagonistic and abuse the system and take advantage.
Or fearful and not going to try.
Yeah.
And of course, then you employ all these feminists to help you, who are probably just going to help themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Nice meeting you. Lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you. Great for being here. It's great seeing you here.
Yeah, brilliant.